how's it going? My name's Tanner Banks.
And I am JJ Mangold.
And welcome to The Name Doesn't Matter.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. The name really does not matter.
Hashtag TNDM. Sponsored by Slickster Magazine. Everything you like in one place. Hey everybody, it's Tanner and welcome back to our latest episode of The Name Doesn't Matter with our colorful commentator.
It is me, JJ. Yes, everybody, welcome back. We sure missed you. Did you miss us?
I didn't.
Well, thanks. I appreciate the sentiment there, bud.
Oh, come on, I had shit to do. I just graduated.
Well, that's good for you, and I just quit my job, so freedom me.
Yay, we're both unemployed.
Yeah, welcome to modern America, everyone. It's a lovely place, except I'm not in debt. Thank you.
Anyways, so let's go ahead and talk about the big story, which is the past few days, in my opinion, would be PUBG's release, because there's a lot of stuff to go along with that. PlayerUnknown's BattleGrounds, a game that I had many a colorful and loud opinions about in our last episode, has officially released at 1.0. Now, that also includes, for the XB1, for our understanding, or Xbone, as it should be.
The Xbone.
So that's been released. So now it's officially a game. It's not in early access. Now it's just going to be doing updates.
How exciting.
From what I've been hearing, I mean, the reviews are coming, and they're like, Polygon gave them a 10 out of 10.
Ooh, take that lightly.
Yeah, I mean, take any review lightly, even the ones that I do. But, I mean...
Everything gets a 10 anymore, even Call of Duty.
The weirdest thing for me with this was, Polygon said it was imperfectly perfect. And I read the review a little bit, and I mean, I understand what they're getting at, but for me,
Right.
A 10 out of 10, it has to be perfect.
Yeah, it legitimately has to be perfect. Like, barely to no bugs, plenty of development time, it pleased everybody. There's really no negative commentary or anything.
I think the only example for that this year was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Maybe Odyssey. I've not heard a bad thing about Odyssey.
Neither have I.
But, I mean, how much bad shit have you heard about PUBG? You know what I mean?
A lot. I mean, they even make the jokes, even the plus comments, it's like they make the joke like, this game is fun and challenging for both you and your PC.
And it's true. I mean, shit, I couldn't even get my thing to run on medium settings when I had my shit cranked. And, well, you've got a 1080 Ti, and
I have yet to try it. I'll buy it. I have people who tell me, oh, get it on the Xbox. I was like, you know what? For that, I'd rather do it on PC. I feel like I'd stand a better chance.
Not to mention, you know...
Keyboard and mouse controls.
Yeah, and just better graphics in general, because
Yeah.
the review came out on like the Xbone version when it was initially shown, and it was like, this is like on very low settings, because they were promising it being on what, high?
They were doing high, and the Xbox One X was going to be 60 frames, and it runs abysmal on the X from what I've been hearing and seeing. I was like, you know what, that really doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it's the world's greatest console, but a game that has poor optimization on even high-power PCs, I don't see a console running that anywhere near as good. And if it is, it's like at the lowest setting bar imaginable.
Yeah.
And just take away all the fog.
I will say this, though. I've been using the test server and checking out the new map.
How is the new map? I haven't seen the new map yet. Is it any good? Is it fun?
It's really nice. The thing that I'm loving is the user interface change. It's a lot cleaner.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. It showed, like, you know how you can see like like a compass on your top.
Yeah.
Well, now it'll show you your exact number.
Oh, nice.
And one of the other things is they really bumped up the red zone. Because, you know, people used to run through the red zone like, la, 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 la,
now, I have seen that, and now it's ridiculous. It's nightmare fuel.
I was like, this shit sounds like I'm in World War I trenches or some shit.
I'm getting bombed by biplanes dropping sand jar grenades.
Something. Either way.
Just getting pelted by napalm.
Oof, but, I mean, here's the thing. It looks like a great game. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 because, I mean, there's still those technical issues. And if it's a game that is living, because it is only multiplayer, it lives off of its online multiplayer. And if your game has cheaters, if your game has hackers, if your game has
That's just to
issues
be
from its
expected.
servers, but is that perfect?
No, it's not. Not at all. Not
It-
by any stretch. I think the highest you can rate it, in all honesty, is a 9 out of 10.
or even a 9.5 I'd be fine with.
Right.
Because here's a good example. I remember reading Game Informer
How
when I was
about Arkham City when that was a 10 out of 10? That
right.
still had flaws.
Yeah, but no, like Game Informer had a good example, like how it broke down things. One of the things was replayability.
Right.
A game could have a very high score and a very low replayability, meaning you're probably never going to actually finish playing this game, or even beat it for that matter.
Right.
Or there are games that have extremely high replayability, but had a lower score. A good example would be Guitar Hero 2. It got like, what, a 9 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10?
Yeah.
One of the most replayable games I've ever played in my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was the height. No, I take that back. I think Guitar Hero 3 was the height of Guitar Hero profitability.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't
No.
scored perfectly either.
No.
Nobody gave it a perfect score, not even like the
No.
music-specific ones.
No.
But that's the thing. I think that people are looking too much at its. Well, it's a very addictive game.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of fun to play. It's addictive.
I want to play it. And I originally had no intention of playing it, but just watching it over time, it's just like, you know what? I do want to try it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. And
No.
giving us a game a 10 out of 10, and the scores that we're getting, putting it in a game of the year, I think
They were just waiting. They're just waiting for that 1.0 so they can finally give it the praise that they want to give it.
And it deserves it. I mean, at the end of the day, this is an indie game developed by a small team. Bluehole is a very small development team. Like they only made a couple. They made some moderate MMO successes in the past. That's about it.
So think about it this way: PUBG could have gone one of two ways. Could have gone the way it has now and gone to stardom with a small team, or it could have gone the total opposite way, like No Man's Sky with the same very small development team. But the difference is did this have anyone back it up, like a big company like No Man's Sky had Sony backing it up and hyping it up?
Well, Player Unknown was more or less doing it kind of by himself, and then Bluehole came in to help him.
Okay,
Yeah, and then they're a South Korean developer, so.
But are they huge, like AAA company, or are they just like relative medium?
Relative medium, I'd say.
Right.
But I think that's a
it's
good
still
place for it.
impressive. In the beginning, people would talk about it, and it's just stream hype. You got the big streamers doing it. It's like, oh man, this thing looks cool. Because you had H1Z1, which was the same creator. That was a battle royale game before it. But what else did you have before then? It was several years, it felt like. I don't really recall something set up like this.
Arma 3 mod maybe, but again, same guy. But
Same guy.
well, tell you what, Hunger Games and Minecraft.
Yeah, those do count.
I mean, the battle royale system is becoming bigger. I mean, it's becoming a genre in and of itself, or at least a subgenre, and
yeah, I would consider it a subgenre.
Which is interesting because you read the interview by Rolling Stones with Player Unknowns about how he wants
better IP protection.
Yeah, because I mean, he's saying that the game, there's a lot of copycats. Like
Rules of Survival on Android, even YouTube has the ads for it, and it is a legit rip-off down to the UI of it, and it's gained so much popularity on Android, and it's a free-to-play. And I'm just like, at first I saw it, and some people say he's delusional and doesn't understand how any of this stuff works, because, it's gaming, not movies, it's music. Because the thing about music, when it comes to like IP protection, there's a whole lot of more pieces to a song than could be like a movie. Because Robin Thicke got in trouble for ripping off Marvin Gaye, I believe, with Blurred Lines, and that was a big lawsuit.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of things that sound the same. And I can agree to a point that there should be a little better IP protection, but don't let the success of your game get to your head so bad that you just want to monopolize it until you just own it by yourself.
I mean, I get that, but at the same time, I mean, when there are very blatant ripoffs.
Rules of Survival.
Rules of Survival. Heck,
that is blatant. There's even a ripoff of that. If you go into the Google store and you just do Rules of Survival and then you go into other ones, there's other ones, like the name was like Fortnite Battleground.
Well, and
it was hilarious, and they swear they use the same screenshots of Rules of Survival.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. I think that what it also is, it's for the industry, because film or books, all those things, they have that IP protection. Games don't. I mean, how many crap ripoffs on the mobile store were there of like Five Nights at Freddy's, of Super Mario, of
Just look at Steam.
Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird, that was huge, especially when it went down.
Right.
When
So
the creator took it down, you had all those. But just look at Steam in general, like early access, how many of those are just copies of each other? Because a lot of the time, it's just someone in a basement or at their house just taking the Unity engine assets, throwing them in there. And, you have that copy game. But those aren't really games. Those are just quick cash grabs, the sucker people who don't know what they're getting into.
like those movies that are named very closely to
Atlantic Rim, Transmorphers,
or
Snakes on a Train.
The Adventures of Puss in Boots. Like, I remember
With William Shatner.
No, I forget who was in it, but it was
that was it. I thought it was William Shatner.
But it was like a crappy.
It was a French film.
No, it was a crappy little 3D animated film that was based off of the storybook of Puss in Boots.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of another one because there was another Puss. And there was another Puss in Boots, but I think it was spelled like slightly different. I think they changed in, but it was William Shatner voiced it, and it was like a French film that they Americanized. It was all weird. I remember seeing it.
And I think that's where a lot of the issue is. It's just, these kinds of creative mediums do need that protection.
Like he said, which I can agree, just if you want to do it, just innovate or change up enough. Like fair use. It's the same idea as fair use.
Yeah.
When they talk about that for reactionary videos or just talking about doing reviews, it has to be enough to where you can put it as like a fair use thing.
You're watching it or consuming it for what there is, not for what was already there.
Right.
Now,
because if that was the case, just go play PUBG then.
Or then a good example of that would be Fortnite. It's changing itself a lot. I mean, traps, the launch pads, it's making itself a more cartoony version of PlayerUnknown's BattleGrounds.
They didn't want to copy it verbatim.
And I think that was the issue. Is I think they released too soon.
Yeah, that was the problem because then it does make it look like a copycat, like Paladins.
Yeah,
it released too soon to Overwatch or
Battleborn.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bloodborne for a second. Yeah, Battleborn. They were making that sound like a copycat, but that came first.
And it was nothing like it.
It was completely different, and it was actually really good. People actually enjoyed it, but because Overwatch came out, and, you have that community saying that it's a blatant copycat, although it came out first, but who was developing their game first is another question. Was it 2K or Activision Blizzard?
Well, Blizzard had been working on Project Titan, which became Overwatch like a decade ago.
Lawbreakers. That was destroyed because Overwatch was already out.
Also,
and they were calling that a copycat.
And also because it wasn't that good.
Yeah, I know. It was like some weird Overwatch Unreal Tournament thing.
Dark and gritty 1990s.
I get that idea, but, not everything has to look like Quake.
Yeah.
Or Call of Duty. You don't need to be that brown. Now, I understand you can also go the other direction and say not everything needs a cartoony. But why not find just some kind of happy medium?
Or just let everything exist as it is, but not try to saturate the market
Oversaturate
the
market to death.
Yeah.
Well, that's Steam, unfortunately. You got a lot of oversaturation.
That's everything, though. I mean, for God's sakes, how many how many military FPSs were there between like 2007 and 2011 on console?
You had Battlefield, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, which died with Warfighter, basically. Those were your three big ones from PS2 to 360.
But those were also, there was all the smaller ones that were trying to cash in on it.
Warface, which was shut down on the 360 and now is a PC title.
There was that
that's the free-to-play one, which is actually pretty fun. I remember playing it.
There was the two brothers or whatever, the two guys that were it was like a duo shooter game.
Yeah.
Gears of War.
Yeah, cover shooter.
All the cover shooters.
All the cover shooters, like the zombie monsters and robots. I played that free to play. That was this is like Gears of War, but the not Gears version. Because it was a lot of it was the same, even down to the roadie running and the camera bobbing and all that.
Yeah,
it was like, jeez.
Well, I remember.
How about all the wave-based games that have copied the zombie mode from Call of Duty? That being so popular. You have all the horde mode stuff like Division. They just released
Yeah.
their version.
But you know
I'm
what?
surprised that game still gets developmental updates.
Right, because I mean, hardly
Who
anybody
played
plays it.
it?
But that's the other thing. I mean, yes,
I
those are
did.
ta-
I did. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. Play what you play. But the thing is,
The hype was too real. You know, I will say this: the thing that suckered me in is they promised me I could get on the Xbox Smart Glass with my phone or tablet and control a drone to help out teammates.
did it happen?
No,
Yeah, I
there were
figured that.
supposed to be 3 dark zones and multiple islands, but nope.
Shit, remember all the promises that were made for the Kinect?
Yeah, remember all the promises from Peter Molyneux
Ex-
for Fable?
Or for No Man's Sky, going back to your previous point. But that's the thing. At the end of the day, I mean,
Got him.
these games, yes, they're copying, they're basing this stuff off of other iterations, but they're changing it enough. You can tell that, okay, clearly this is their zombie mode,
Yeah,
but it's still their thing.
right.
Like Fortnite versus PUBG versus DayZ versus H1Z1 versus the original Arma 3 mod versus all the other games that are coming out
And
for
then
it,
Fortnite made the 50v50 mode,
which
to add to
actually
it.
looks cool.
I wanted to try it. I need to try it because
And you could say that's a ripoff of like Star Wars Battlefront, the original one,
how about Mag?
or Mag.
Mag from PS3, that was their big thing. It was like 50 on 50, 100 player servers, ran smooth, and you had like multiple tiers of command in there, and it was supposed to be a big thing. I mean, would you consider that a ripoff?
Not really.
No, not at all.
And that's the thing. But
You just have to decide in general, am I playing this for the new reasons, or is it just because it's something new looking, but it's the same game?
yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned like the Chinese ripoffs and like there's like here like the Heroes of the something. It's like the Overwatch ripoff on mobile. It's interesting because if something like that were to be made in America,
There'd be lawsuits.
those
That
lawsuits.
is like a verbatim clone on an Android device.
And that's the thing, though. But it's interesting because China's really known for doing a lot of that. Just being like, yeah, you can copy whatever. We don't care so long as it's a Chinese company.
Did you see when they made an Xbox One controller and a PS4 console? It was a rip-off console.
I did.
How hilarious did that look to you? The marriage of those two companies.
It looked interesting. I'll give you that. But um,
oh, China, please keep gracing us with those things.
well, they're gracing us with this next little bit of controversy, which
Ooh,
is
what's this spicy meme?
Steam. At least the community section is blocked.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what's going on there is 96 to 97% of Steam communities, like all the comments, friends, the workshops. Workshop is part of community, right?
I believe so, because it's the community coming together to make mods. You would imagine, anyway.
Yeah, almost all of it has been blocked as of December 15th. And nobody really knows why as of right now. And there's some believing that the reason why they're doing it is because of Tenecent, which is their big company. It's this giant conglomerate media company that does pretty much all the gaming in China.
They have a lot. They have like shows, music, games, social media platforms. They also have a big hand in.
A lot of major games that play in China are actually through Tenecent because
Call
of
of
Chinese
Duty
law.
Online. That is a Tenecent game.
Well, League of Legends and Smite, games like that have to run through Tenecent.
Yeah, that's basically your passport to get into China itself.
Yeah.
You have to go through Big Dog to even get into the playground.
And they're huge. I mean, they're worth like over $500 billion. But
they are the big cheese.
I think the interesting thing is they tried to buy PUBG. They tried to buy that from PlayerUnknown's.
Do you blame them? You
No,
know how much
of
money
course.
that would have made them?
70%
How
of the
about Bluehole? They would have been living in money as well.
well, I think that's when he went to Bluehole. But
Oh,
anyways,
yeah, true.
but
My bad.
the weird thing is, like 70% of the growth for PUBG has come from China and South Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been talking about the explosion. It's like, yes, a lot of Americans and Europeans and people from South America and the rest of the world are playing it, but
it's
almost
just a
all of
huge
it's
boom
coming
in
from
Asia.
there. Yeah, and I think that Tenecent realized that, and I mean, why wouldn't they? They're a smart company.
Oh, of course.
I mean, part of me thinks that they're going to the government and saying, "Hey, don't let this be a thing because a lot of Steam's traffic
Hmm.
through them is coming from PUBG now. Don't let that be a thing.
They're gonna be like, they're gonna block it, and they're gonna be like, we'll let you back in.
Well, that's the thing.
Let us have a share of
They
your
nearly
profit.
they nearly straight up banned PUBG in China.
Yeah,
I mean,
that thing was almost gone.
and I mean,
That would have affected business for Steam as well. Steam would have had a panic.
yeah, they would have. And I mean, I think that they realized that that's not worth the trouble.
We need to play ball.
But I wonder what's going to be happening next because with China kind of clamping down on gaming
Hmm.
with between Steam, PUBG, well, heck, they even clamped down on things like loot boxes. You have to know
You have to know the stats.
yeah,
Speaking of that, did you hear about iOS now has to disclose it?
has to disclose what?
The loot drop chance rate. iOS is enforcing it now.
Oh,
For
for all
all
mobile
games,
games.
for all mobile iOS games, they have to disclose the drop rates
I
for everything.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, here's
They
the thing.
should.
It would not
It,
decentivize me. It wouldn't.
yeah. I mean, it's always a good thing to see because if you think about it, if you're less fortunate money wise, it'll really make you think, okay, should I really spend the dollar? If it's legit only 1% chance I'm gonna get it, or should I just stick to just a normal loot box I can earn in game? Yeah, it'll be slow, but then you just gotta ask yourself, do I really need it? Because it is that social aspect.
I mean, it helps people realize what their chances actually are. Like, for instance,
Yeah,
if I know that my chance for getting the Arissa emote for the Winter Wonderland event,
Mhm.
like she opens up a present and
with the
a
puppy
dog, and
inside.
yeah,
Yeah,
if I know that I have a 1 in 500 chance of getting that one specifically,
I might spend $1.
I might be more willing to spend more money because it's like I know that I'm gonna have to buy more,
Right,
even to just get the coins to unlock it.
right.
And I mean, it's just I think here's the other thing that we don't know for a lot of things. We don't know if like something is epic or legendary
Mhm.
or whatever. We don't know if there's a spectrum that it's on
Yeah,
or if it's exact. For instance,
right,
like maybe Arissa's emote is 1 in 1,000.
right.
Maybe the May legendary skin for the winter event is 1 in 300.
Yeah, so you
It'd be nice
you
to
just have
know.
to figure it out. And I always believe that you should see your odds.
Yeah.
Leave the unknown to casinos because that is just a place where you just go and lose, lose, lose.
Yeah.
I don't need that in my games. I'm sorry.
And that's one of the things that's really bothered me about 2017 and gaming in general has been that
No,
just
I'm not gonna say year of the loot box.
I mean,
Although I just said it.
it is totally year of the loot box.
I
But
know it is, but
eh,
I'll say it again.
even PUBG's got it. But and
Year
it's
of the
all
loot
that
box.
it's all. I mean, that's all cosmetic, but at the same time, it's still there.
That's
Um,
where it starts.
yeah, it is. It is. But I don't know. It's hard for me to really even say what game of the year I would have, just because I mean there weren't a lot of games for me at
That
least
stood out.
that stood out that were released this year. I mean, PUBG, yes, but on principle, I can't really say that's the best game of the year because of the stuff that we talked about last year. Most of the games that I've been playing have been out for a year or longer.
Right.
Although I will say, there's one
What
game.
will you say?
There's a game that, well, it's a demo at
What was a
least.
demo?
Broken Reality.
Oh yeah, you played that. I played that.
I did it on, well, because of the Kickstarter, and I was just interested to
Yup.
see what it was like. Dear God. We'll cut that out. Dear God, that game was a lot of fun, but it was interesting because how long did it take you to like beat the first stage, the stage that's available on the island?
Was there more than one on the island?
No, there was only the one stage. I mean, did
Okay.
you?
I
to-
played it for probably like 50 minutes to an hour,
Right.
taking my time and found a secret room. I don't know how many there are, but I did find one, and I kind of figured it was there because I kind of walked into it because it kind of looked like it was something false.
Yeah. Well,
But,
don't tell me where it is.
I'm not gonna
I
tell
haven't
you.
found it.
You're gonna find it on your own. But for me personally, I am a hard person to please when
Yeah.
it comes to games because I like to save up and not waste my money. Sorry, Division. I should have never bought you. Division is probably my guilty pleasure. And
Yeah.
playing it, oh man, I enjoyed it because I was afraid in the beginning. I was like, oh dear lord, is this gonna be a walking simulator? And then you start playing it, and it's got this really nice Windows 98 LSD Dreamulator fusion vibe, and to me, it's a nice internet and social satire of life.
Yeah, and the funny thing was it was able to satirize a lot of today
Yeah.
through that aesthetic. And I'll be honest, my favorite thing about that game, the audio. I
Oh yeah.
loved the soundtrack in that game.
Yeah.
Um,
I would buy that CD.
oh yeah.
Please release it digitally so I can buy it and support you.
Well, they showed who the artists were on the Kickstarter, so you should
Yes, they
probably
did.
check that out.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I saw him.
The thing that I loved was it was a collectathon. It's interesting because
Yeah, I know. And people make that such a dirty term.
well, I think it's because so many collectathons today
Are the
are
same.
are the
Boring.
same or are based solely off of old IPs, like Ukulele.
Banjo Kazooie, yeah, they base it off of that.
I mean, Hell's Bells. Look at like oh god, Bubsy. You know, Bubsy the Bobcat got a remake. Although, also by the way, mixed reviews at best on that one too. Who'd have thought that? I don't know. I feel like
What'd they remake? 1, 2, or 3?
they didn't remake it. They just made a new one.
They
It was-
did?
Yeah.
When?
I think it came out in October. There-
Ooh, I'll look that up.
It was based off of nothing but ironic humor and bashing the
Why doesn't that
shitty old
surprise me?
games
Why doesn't that surprise me?
because it's a cash grab.
That's exactly what it is. Well, I think it's because they started appearing in YouTube videos.
Yeah.
They saw the popularity that Bubsy 3D was getting hated on so bad.
Infamy more than popularity.
Oh, yeah, they saw the popularity of the views and people taking interest in looking at this old IP. So I was like, ooh, we're going to take advantage of this and we're going to have fun.
Well, they can have fun all they want. The game sucked.
Well, that too. And did you see that they actually released 1 and 2 as a combo?
Oh, fuck
It's
that.
just, I think this was last year.
I'm going to ironically
SNES
spend
ports
my
to
money.
PC.
I'm going to ironically spend my money on Bubsy. Hell with that. But
I'll just get an emulator, thanks.
that's the thing about Broken Reality that I like. I mean, I got a bit more of a Spyro vibe than anything, but it was more of a vibe than like, oh, this is totally Spyro.
Yeah.
And that was just because it was based on mini games, collecting like the gems there, and then getting the ones that required a special task.
Yeah.
So for me, at least, I mean, it was different,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of fun. And
I was afraid that, or not afraid, but I was pretty sure in the beginning, like just looking, I was like, I'm probably not going to enjoy this. And then I open it up and I hear that opening soundtrack. That's that ambient fluidity. And then you have the AOL modem start up in the background echoing. I was like, oh man, this soundtrack. And then you just want to keep going. The hilarious names, the speeches that you get from the other NPCs in there.
Well, the gameplay was what got it for me because it was actually varied.
I will say this, please make shift to maybe not sprint, but toggle a faster speed for when you're traveling from one side to the other.
It is a
That
little
is my
bit slow.
only complaint. But I
Yeah.
understand because they want you to soak in that atmosphere.
And the other thing
And that was actually a game I actually loved to look at all over and even like check out the skybox and just hunt around in general.
that's the thing. It was explorable. I mean, that map
Yeah.
wasn't that big.
Not at all. Like if you look at it, just hitting tab and you get the whole thing there. It's not that big, but to you, and especially because you walk slower, it does feel big.
Yeah. It feels big, and I think that the thing that helped it was, every section was very thematic.
Yeah, and then you had the songs that would fade, and the new song would start when you'd enter the new area, and it fit the atmosphere of the area.
Yeah. What was your favorite ability in the game? For me, it was the sword, just because it
So did I.
looked so cool.
I thought of that katana, and I thought of Shadow Warrior from DOS.
Oh,
That's what I thought. I was like, oh man, is this gonna turn into maybe like because I kept seeing the target. I was like, is it gonna be like a shootable, or we're gonna have like a weird FPS hybrid?
Oh,
That'd
and
be
then
kinda
you're like
nifty.
freaking clicking from point to point with the targeted advertising. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, is that what that was for? I didn't make it that far. I was missing a gadget.
Oh,
Was that the rainbow clicker?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get that far. I ended up
Oh.
having to leave and do something else. And I got everything but the rainbow clicker. I figured because I saw that it said grappling hook. I was
It's
like, those are what that's for then.
It's so much fun.
Time Stopper is a pretty cool puzzle thing.
Yeah.
Where you do the teleporter.
That got me for a bit, but that's just because I didn't really understand it. I mean, the only real complaint that I had for the game was the map being very unhelpful because it was only showing you the section versus like
Right where you are exactly.
right.
And it wasn't. That would be something I would do. And then like I said, just if you don't want to, I'd just say for some of us, when you're just having to run around and see what did I miss. Like when I was hunting, I was missing a katana part. I was just making sure I didn't miss it. So I'm backtracking between both sides of the map. Just have like shift be a little speed toggler.
Because I mean, I doubt that every map is going to be that small. It might
Right.
be.
Right. And you know, that's the thing like I talk about this with open games like Assassin's Creed. You don't need this huge game world to be impressive because then it's empty. Unlike this, it's a small world, but it feels bigger and has way more content shoved into it to where the small map, you don't even think about the size anymore because there's just so much in it. And this episode of The Name Doesn't Matter is brought to you by Bridge Constructor Portal, now available on Steam through Windows PC, Mac OS, and Linux. Buy today.
And with all that, though, I mean, I'm actually excited because we're going to get a chance to talk to the developers for this game, and I'm really hoping that we can ask them some interesting questions because they've been working on this for like 3 years. I
Has it been
remember
3 years?
I saw a trailer
Mhm.
for the alpha of this game
Mhm.
a couple years ago. It might have been only 2 years, but either way, they said that I
Some
remember
effort's been put in.
a lot of effort.
Which you can say what you will, but that's more than most companies, even big companies.
Well, because they're mostly just trying to cash in on our nostalgia.
Exactly.
I mean, because like the whole ironic thing about Bubsy, Star Wars Battlefront 2. I mean, we
Yep.
talked to death about
Well,
that.
even this, it kind of gets the nostalgia senses with the AOL feel of old MMOs and just that Windows 98 look.
It does, but at the same time, it does it differently because that's actually a part of
Yeah.
Vapor. Like I think the best example would probably be Vaporwave, which is more of a satirical version of it. Whereas, I mean, Bubsy the Woolly Strike Back is not satire.
No, it's just quick cash grab that's trying to pull on your nostalgia because you remember this game that sucked the big one on the Super Nintendo and then was one of the worst PS1 games ever made, if not the worst. And they make the argument, oh, it was one of the first 3D platformers. Super Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot came out before that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. I mean, and then there's the other side of the spectrum of good products that are still very clearly cashing in, or at least
Of course.
basing a lot of itself off of nostalgia, like Stranger Things,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean was called for totally doubling down on the nostalgia with season 2.
Right.
And then I mean, shit, look at like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the sci-fi 70s 80s nostalgia show redone all over. Doesn't mean it's
worked.
not good.
Yeah, but it worked.
It does work. And I mean, for God's sakes, how many times do we say, "Oh my God, how awesome would it be if like Spyro got remastered and
Just like Crash Bandicoot and the Insane Trilogy.
did great?"
People heralded it, and it was just a complete overhaul of the original three.
Yeah, or hell, remember when Sly Cooper came out? And
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I totally bought it. I mean, we're both guilty of this, but I just feel like that nostalgia in general is just
You have to be careful.
yeah.
Don't let the blinders be too close. Like I always say to people, the only way you can truly be a fan and love it is you have to be willing to critique it in a harsh way or just critique it in general and just realize the flaws within it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the best example of that would be going back to PUBG.
I was about to say, yeah, PUBG. You tell me you love it, but boy, do you bash it, even in episode 1.
Well, and it's
But
because
it comes from a place of love.
I love playing that game. I love squatting up with my friends and just going out
I
pinging
need to
people.
buy that.
You do have to buy it.
I will buy it.
I mean,
Don't you worry.
you know,
I might be unemployed, but I will beg on the streets.
oh please, Mister Saves a lot. But anyways, I don't
can't
know.
help it. It's a good practice.
But there's another good example of this whole is it nostalgia or is it just good with
What would that be?
Dragon Ball Fighter Z?
Oh, yeah, that's another one there.
Because I mean, you and I grew up on Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
How about that forever Krillin Goku match in the city?
Yeah, we had a match once, and was it Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi? It was one
Either
of
that or 2.
one of the two, and we had a match that lasted probably a good 15-20 minutes just because of the counters and like the
It was insanity. I felt like I was watching the actual show.
and it's a lot of that, but at the same time there's been a lot of really
Bad ones.
really shitty Dragon Ball Z games. But I mean, this game looks good, and
Xenoverse can be a mixed bag for some people.
it is a mixed bag. I mean, there's a lot of great elements to it, but not so great.
And then there's ones that aren't so good.
I'll be honest, I hated Budokai 3. I loved Budokai 2, loved those. Budokai 3 fucking sucked for me.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
But it's interesting. I mean, you'll have a chance to actually try the game out because it's going into open beta.
Open beta.
They had a closed beta for it really recently, and I actually watched the gameplay.
Sign up today.
I watched the gameplay of the game on YouTube.
Actually, I don't know when.
From Team 4-Star, the guys who do the
who do the
Abridged series.
Abridged series. Yeah, I find that hilarious. I remember when they were actually shut down or being shut down for a little while.
They still kind of are.
Yeah, copyright.
I
love that copyright claim.
Yeah.
Thank you, YouTube.
And Toei Animation. I think it's Toei Animation that's doing it, but
Toho
Animation. Sure. But
well, no, it'd be Funimation. They own the rights to it.
Funimation and Toei Animation. But anyways, the way it's going to work is the beta it's a 2-day beta. And
2 days.
It's going to be January 14th through the 16th, starting at
Get
4
those
a.m.
X-Bones ready.
And PS4s.
I'm just kidding. Get everything ready. Get the chips, get the pizza rolls, get the Doritos, get the Mountain Dew. Gotta get the gamer fuel.
Get the Mountain Lightning. Get the store brand nacho cheese sauce. Get it all.
Get the Dr. Popper.
Dr. Popper.
Get the Dr. Popper. Get your Big K. Get your diets.
I'll say this.
Get your peanuts here.
The game looks fantastic. It's
what I was about to say. What do you think about going to a 2D style, just a flat plane?
I think it makes sense in a certain aspect, just
going
because,
back to the Super Nintendo.
I mean, at the end of the day,
you gotta try something different. People might love it.
It
looks good.
And the other thing is with the way fighting works in Dragon Ball Z, it's charge up your super laser mega beam and throw it at the other guy.
Boom.
And then boom happens.
Yeah.
Yes, there have been a lot of fights that had a more 3D aspect to it, but usually it winds up in a 2D kind of confrontation.
Pretty much, because really you just flew around in circles to maybe go pick up something to throw at the other person, or to just get away from the person.
Or to fly out of the way of Goku's spirit bomb, bitch.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, crafty little bastard.
Well, maybe this could be where we kind of come back into that little rivalry.
Are we gonna have this be the end all?
Probably not. We'll probably be having this thing go on until we die. Because there's no way
we're gonna stream it every time.
There's no way that Akira Toriyama is gonna ever end this cash cow. I mean, he did for a long time, but Dragon Ball Super's the tits. It's awesome.
The breasts.
Yes. Which are fuck. Anyways.
That's okay.
I
don't think we'll be in trouble. What do you think?
We'll find out. Nobody listens to us anyways, but
hey, that's all right. Yeah, exactly. We'll just find out together. If we get shut down for profane language, then we'll try again next time. Yeah, it's gonna be like toasty.
But I don't know. I mean, do you think that this game would be successful at all? Let's not even say as successful. Would have any success if it didn't have the Dragon Ball name attached to it? If it was completely original?
No.
You think it would have any success in it?
Well, because I think, a lot of people, if it didn't have Dragon Ball, they'd probably be like, this is a Street Fighter clone.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting because it kind of goes into two of the things that we've talked about, nostalgia and kind of basing itself off of something else.
Yeah, because you take away that 3D element, which really changed it from Tekken and Street Fighter, which are the two main fighting games. Yeah, I know there's a lot more, but those are the two big ones.
Not to mention the fact that, I mean, the original...
They're both heralded.
Yeah. And the Dragon Ball... what was your favorite Dragon Ball game growing up? For me, it was Dragon Ball Budokai 2.
I think I'd have to say the same. Because I didn't own them. I just would play them when you were around. And that was just, for me, it was the peak. Because, they had the formula down. They knew how to work with the 3D space. They knew how to make the fighting fluid and combo chains. And everything was nice and accurate-ish to the show.
The music
accurate-ish is not a word.
The music was good because the composer just ripped off a bunch of rock and heavy metal music.
Then you remember that? Then you have the intern going and ripping it straight from the show. Just inject clip here,
more or less. But it was really good. I enjoyed it.
It worked.
I enjoyed it, and I mean, I'll I won't be
Don't
playing
do
the
the
open
Rambo
beta
the
unless
video
I'm.
game way.
What?
Don't do Rambo the video game way where you rip the VHS tapes.
No.
That sounds awful to new sound.
God.
Sorry, guys.
I won't.
That game also got free DLC, which is hilarious.
I won't be playing this open
You gonna
beta.
play? You gonna play the open beta?
Well, probably not because it's from what I'm reading. It's only on consoles. So the only time.
I was about to say if it's PC, hit me up.
But I mean, you'll be able to because
Yeah, I'll let you know how the X-Bone runs.
you've got a bone. But I mean,
got a bone.
if I'm
I like
over,
my
I'll play
bone.
it.
I'm sorry.
If I'm over, I'll play it. But
I will still claim console peasantry while also being a PC elitist.
yeah,
I could never get behind that. What about you?
what the elitism?
Yeah, the elitism. I know you used to give me flack for it. Years back, you were like, your console, look at your 360. I'm like, you know what? Sorry, it was free.
I mean, I did that mostly to you just because you would riff on me because I had a PS3 and you had an Xbox
the funny memes.
360.
Well, I did that because I felt bad for you guys on the PSN network.
I felt bad for you guys because
Yeah,
you had to
we
pay
had to
so
pay for
much.
it. I know. I still hate that. Microsoft, PlayStation, it's 2017. Stop charging us. You do not do anything with your servers. Especially when Christmas a couple years ago, you guys had the massive DDoS attacks from the Lantern Squad and ruined everybody's Christmas until nightfall. You do not do anything with your service. Stop charging us. Stop it. Find another way. You know what? Actually, just Xbox, you already do it. Game Pass. And then I think PSN has PS Now, something like that, where you can... It's basically... What this is it's just a way to play games for free. It's a subscription base. Just have that. If anything, take it from $10 to $20 if you really have to, but really have the library to back it up. Especially, Xbox is now putting in Xbox original titles.
What does that mean? Oh, so like classic
emulate.
Xbox games?
Yes, like Ninja Gaiden and Black.
Ooh, or
I wish Manhunt 1 and 2 were in there.
Ooh, is it gonna have Roller Coaster Tycoon? Dude,
I don't think so.
that game was my fucking
Because I don't know if they're starting with the Xbox original titles that were 360 compatible. Because there were some. And what was really cool is I ended up playing Manhunt 1 on the 360, and instead of the voice from the character coming through the television, I had the mic plugged in, and it actually came through the headset. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty scary, actually. I feel like I'm really there. That was one of the first real atmospheric things to me.
Yeah.
Because I had never experienced anything like that as a child. Now, I will say, yeah, it's probably not the best idea for a 13-year-old to try out Manhunt. Might scar him for life.
Well, that goes into, parental responsibility. If you think your kid can play it, or you're fine even if your kid can't and you're just like whatever, then fine. But okay, if they're going to be doing that though, I hope that they bring Amped back. Did you ever play that?
Yes.
That was to this day. I mean, I played all the Tony Hawk games. I played Thug probably
Thug
5 or
2,
6.
Baby.
I probably played through that game a dozen times.
I love Thug 2 and he loves Thug 1. We are the perfect parallel with each other.
And you know what? Amped was better. It just was.
Oh, yeah. It was great.
I mean, just the replayability of every single level. It was funny. It had a great soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever played a launch game, with that tight of controls.
Right.
Okay.
Because usually they're just getting used to the systems, how they function.
Yeah. Okay. It's not really fair to say that because, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's a launch title, and look at how that did.
True.
But I ain't got a Switch.
Yeah, neither do I. I thought about it.
I want to. I ain't got the money, man.
I don't have the money either.
But, I don't know. It's interesting. And
you know what? Change the screen from plastic to glass. I'm not worried about dropping it. I'm just worried about setting it in my dock and scratching my screen to death.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem with plastic. I understand you don't get the cracks from dropping, but seriously, I know it's mobile, but can we just accept the fact that adults will own this and the children who own it, they're probably going to have some way of not dropping it and busting the system in half?
But then where would they get the money from the screen protectors they sell?
That is true. Good point.
I mean, it's
You
still
make a real good point.
It's still a business at the end of the day.
I understand that, but you also have to do, just forget about the business side for 2 seconds and think about what's going to be better.
Art versus business, my man.
How about those dead pixels you guys won't replace the systems for? Yeah, how about that?
Fair
Why
shakes.
can't you replace that? The dead pixel, it's your problem. No, it's not. It was defective from your factories.
Well,
Stop sniffing all that mothball glue.
speaking of newer
Speaking,
things that aren't really working like they're supposed to, what do you think about the whole VR thing, like with virtual reality? Because
I had so much hope for it when it first came out. I don't know why. For me personally, I looked forward to my Samsung S7 Edge and S7 having VR, and I love the benefit of it because, you have for gaming, but what also people don't ever really think about is think about when you get older
yeah,
and, some people get bedridden. It's miserable laying in a bed the whole time. Or people who are less fortunate and they can't travel outside the state, outside of the country. And, if you told them, I can put this headset and headphones on you, and I can make this work one day to where it'll actually make you feel like you are there experiencing the whole journey.
yeah.
Wouldn't you jump at that chance to escape reality? You don't even have to play the game. All you got to do is just walk around and look at the scenery.
Well, I think we're still at the really early stages of VR.
Oh, of course we are.
But
It's
I
been
mean,
a few years, but we're still at
PS4's
the gimmicky and
yeah.
all that.
Well,
PS4 tried.
Well, PS4's got like what 100 titles now. That's what they're claiming they have like 100.
Do they?
They're
Did
claiming
it
they have
get
like
that high already?
they're claiming they have like 100 different titles in
I
virtual
think
reality.
the only one that'll be worth it in virtual reality, for especially game-wise right now, is probably going to be Resident Evil 7.
Which was really creepy.
It
mean,
was.
I've tried out virtual reality before. It's interesting.
I want to get a Vive. I'm probably going to try my best and get a Vive.
Once you're not, broke and out of work, but
Yeah. Well,
anyways.
hopefully one day I can make money from not a job. Maybe one day this podcast will help me out.
Because this ain't a job. This is just us bullshitting. But
Yeah,
anyways,
this is fun.
it is fun. And
it'll still be fun even if we get sponsors.
yes.
Don't worry, guys. We won't change.
I mean, we'll totally sell out. But anyways, that is all the time that we have for now. We will be seeing you guys in the next episode of The Name Doesn't Matter. #TNDM.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the name really does not matter. And please just give us a hand, like us on Facebook, follow us, join us in all our fun endeavors. If not, hopefully one day we'll have you turn around and say, hey, those quirky, laughable guys are actually doing something funny and different.
Peace.
Peace out.